We have two yards right here in the studio. Chairman Jayant Tana and Treasurer Nisar Butt of the Eastleigh High School Alumni. Welcome to the studios once again.
Thank you very much. It was lovely for you to have us on this show. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Now, you're most welcome. But before we get on to the donation aspect, let's talk about EHS Alumni. How did it come into formation?
Yes.
When did it come into formation?
Thank you. It all happened in 2006 when we had a regular reunion which we were having every 10 years. And we thought on this occasion, yes, in addition to the kinds of things we do by meeting old friends and sharing old stories and so on, we should do something for the school back in Nairobi. So it was at that time that we actually formalized, rather than just having a reunion, to formalize and have a regular set of meetings, finding out how things are going in Nairobi and collecting funds on a regular basis. So we actually had a membership. I was elected chair, Nisar Butt was elected treasurer, and that is how we started. We asked the school what they needed. The principal said that they wanted to start something with the computers. Mm-hmm. So we then organized with Computer Aid, a very, very well-known company, dealing in the support for schools in developing countries. Okay. And we got 32 desktops, and they had a computer lab upstairs, just above the staff room. And from then on, it went, on a regular basis. That's how it started. That's how the organization started. Okay. And it has gone from strength to strength since then.
Of course. I mean, you have just donated £25,000 to the Eastleigh High School. Yeah. Tell us more about that, which is like 3.5 million almost.
It is an enormous amount, isn't it? But basketball is a strong tradition in the school. Yeah. The old basketball court was uneven, it was rough, and it wasn't very safe either. So what we therefore decided to do was to build a new basketball court, and we said we'll raise some money towards that. That is how it came about. Okay. Because there's a strong, they wanted basketball this time rather than computers.
Right. Fair enough. So that must have been a challenge for you, Nisar, because being a treasurer, it must have been £25,000 is not an easy amount to just pick out of a pocket and then just give.
Correct. And we have very, very generous donors. And if I was to analyze who's paid it, there are only 40 donors who donated this 25,000 quid. And this is not the only donation we've made over the years. If I look at the whole over the last 15 years, our donation to the school has been over £100,000.
Wow. Right. Wow. Yeah. And are all the donors in the UK? Because the both of you are based out of there. So are all the donors from the UK?
Most of the donors are UK. Okay. We have some alumni who are in Canada. They donated a small amount. We have some in USA. They also contributed. And we have one in Kenya.
Okay.
He's also donated. And James will talk more about him. He's been our sort of go-to man here.
Super. Who is this go-to man in Kenya?
All right. He's Gurcharan Singh Gill, who has been very, very helpful. He is one of our life members of ESS Alumni. So although he is resident here, he's still our life member, like a lot of others are in Canada and the US. And we had to have somebody locally because we are 4,000 miles away. And he kindly stepped into that particular role and went through the contractual obligations, the legal aspects, and of course the funding itself, which we had to go through it. And we were able to do it because he was keen enough to visit the school, to make arrangements, to talk with the company that was delivering the goods, with the principal and so on. So without him sitting 4,000 miles away, we couldn't have done it. So thank you again, Gurcharan Singh Gill.
You did mention that quite a few people from across the globe did, donate towards your causes. But how did you just get the funds? Did you just pick up the phone and they're like, write this much amount for me, or whatever? How exactly did you go about raising these funds?
Yeah, there are two aspects to it. I mean, we have regular donations coming in, from regular donors over a period of time. When we have the reunions, for example, we have a magazine where we get advert money from the advertisers.
Okay.
Every time you put a profile in, your profile goes into 250 words, and the messages that they send to their well-wishers, they pay £10 for that. We have raffles and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So that is during that period of the reunion itself, and all the surplus from the reunion, plus the regular donations, made up a substantial reserve for us. And when this particular request came up, that is when we just rang up the people, and we were overwhelmed by the response, and we collected that money in about 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
6 weeks we were able to get that 10K.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is insane.
So the reserve was there 15, and the 10
Yes.
was the one that came very, very quickly within 6 weeks. So that was remarkable. I'm most grateful to all our donors, friends, and so on, who were thrilled to do that after COVID.
Of course, yes, exactly. After COVID,
After COVID, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, actually, very good point. After COVID, generally everyone wants to protect their money,
That's right.
but here they've come out, and
They've come
10,000
out.
in 6 weeks is no joke. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned that you've raised over £100,000. And this is, of course, not the first time that you're giving the donation of 25,000. You've given time and again. So, what have the previous donations been like? What have they gone towards?
As John said earlier on, we started off with computers. Then we had a second batch of computers,
Okay.
and started helping with some accessories as well. Then we came and we looked and said, well, the school looks dated now. They hadn't done any work to it for over the years. No maintenance. We went up to our old classrooms, and we could see the sky. Yeah. And so we said we had to do something about it. So we spent about £30,000 renovating the whole school, repairing, repainting,
Wow.
and that was done. And that wasn't all. Then the following year, we came back and we said, the desks are the same that we were studying on, and they were broken, and we felt really bad. Right then, another 20,000 plus went on those. But then also at the same time, we had needy students. They were orphans.
Right.
They couldn't afford fees. They couldn't afford lunch money, and we started helping the school
Wow.
towards that. So these are 3 or 4 basic areas we were helping the school.
Wow, it's amazing. It's amazing that you're actually going back to your old schools. And that memory that must have just come, whenever you go
That's
back
right,
to your old
yeah.
school.
Yeah.
It's
The thing which-
amazing.
The first time we gave them the computers, and when we came into the computer lab, the joy on their faces,
The
I
look
can
on
never
their
forget that. Absolutely, these boys are sitting in front of the computers, and the joy on their faces and the smiles on their faces, you can't buy that.
You can't buy that.
Yeah.
Very, very true. Well, thank you so much for coming here, Nisar and Jayant. It's been a pleasure having you at Radio 44, and I just want to ask you any parting thoughts that you might have.
Yeah, certainly. I think we're overwhelmed by the support and the love and the respect that we got from the school over this period of time. It's the parents, the governors, the teachers, particularly the principal, and they would like us to continue, and we will continue as long as we can. But like we said before, we're all getting on. And every time I went to the classroom, I was telling them what we had done, and also emphasizing the fact that they need to do the same. When they pass into higher education and employment and do well for themselves, make sure that they think about their old school, they come back, they inspire people, they become the role models for the future. And we now have a local EHS alumni, born and brought up here, and they have been very, very useful in allowing us to carry on that work. So they will be continuing with that work even when we go back home. They have the tradition, they have the culture that is in sync with the students at the moment. So that will be a big, big help in terms of continuing the effort that we are making. Anything you want to add?
No, I think you've done it.
Perfect. Thank you so much once again, Jayant and Nisar, and wishing you all the best in more donations coming your way.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much to Radio 44 and to everybody else, including Alauddin Qureshi. Thank you.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Thank you very